From the PEN studios, this is the Imperfect Moms Club with your hosts, Lisa and Brittany.
On this week's episode of Imperfect, we're at the pool. It's time to enjoy summer and enjoy just being yourself. We talk body positivity, home decor, and about social media influencers. All this week on Imperfect.
Well, hello everybody. So today I am coming to you as a solo episode. I am hanging out with my girls in the backyard. They are splashing around in the pool. This is what summer is all about, right? Like, they will stay in the pool for hours and hours. They come out all pruny and they are just so happy. So I'm hanging out with them. And so you might be hearing some splashing, you might hear some background noises, you might hear my chickens clucking, and that is okay, because this is the Imperfect Moms Club, and this is the only chance I have to make an episode for you. So today we're going to be talking about the Instagram aesthetic, the Pinterest aesthetic, and how unrealistic it is, but how we don't need to be discouraged by it, and we don't need to let it give us unrealistic expectations. So first thing I want to say is the body acceptance and body positivity movement has been exploding the past few years. And I think that this idea is great, but it can also be taken a little too far. So we aren't all going to look like Victoria's Secret models, unfortunately. We all have different body types, different heights, different body structures. And so I think it's important to understand that we can't all fit into the Victoria's Secret body mold. And the body positivity movement is helping people lean away from that unrealistic expectation. So that seemed to be what everyone was struggling with. At least when I was a teenager, it was like everyone wanted to be skinny. Everyone was on diets. Everyone was starving themselves because they wanted to be these skinny minis that you would see on the runway. But that's not quite a thing anymore. I mean, we definitely still have some issues with people wanting to look like magazine models, but I feel like the body positivity movement has come in and people are starting to accept real bodies and what moms look like after having kids, and just accepting that, you know what, we're not all going to be super muscular, Olympian looking women. Some of us have a little bit of jiggle, and that's okay. But also I want to say is I think that this is important to not lean too far the other way, where people start promoting obesity, deadly lifestyle, where it's like incredibly unhealthy. I mean, food is great. Believe me, I love food. I'm also an emotional eater, and I'm working on that. And too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So there's definitely a balance. We don't want to be comparing ourselves to completely unrealistic expectations, but also we can't just let ourselves completely go and throw caution to the wind and just do whatever we want. There is a balance. We need to develop this healthy balance with the body positivity movement. And this sentiment, it goes right into what I'm going to talk about today, which is our new problem that we have now that social media is a really big thing. It's this unrealistic moms on Instagram and Pinterest that we're seeing all of the time. We're leaning away from this unrealistic body shape aesthetic, I guess you want to call it, into this unrealistic idea of what motherhood should be, and all of these unachievable home aesthetics and all of these home improvement and home decor and vintage farmhouse kitchen with brand new countertops. Like, it's gorgeous and it's fun to look at, but it's not the norm. It's not normal for the everyday person. So I bet if you open your Instagram or your Pinterest right now, you'll only have to scroll for about a minute before you see an influencer renovate her rustic farmhouse bathroom in a time lapse of like 15 seconds, right? It's instant gratification. Or you might see a family photo shoot with a vintage inspired wardrobe. Everyone's perfectly matched and their hair is perfect and they have handmade bows in their toddler's hair from Etsy, and there's a beautiful sunset in the background, and maybe they're in a field of flowers. I don't know. The brown color palette has completely taken over Instagram, and it's leaked into everything like children's toy design and bedroom decor, birthday party themes. I'm going to have something to say about that. It's absolutely everywhere. It's an aesthetic, and honestly, it's unrealistic. So we've said over and over on this show that social media isn't real. It's just us showing off our best, showing off the best of our day, and you don't see the giant pile of laundry that's right behind the camera. We don't see or hear the kid screaming in the background because they are putting the latest sound bit over top of it, right? We all know in our heads that's not real. But if you're anything like me, you can easily start to compare your life to social media or Pinterest. And then you leave the app and you're completely disheartened and you're completely discontent with your life because your life doesn't look like those posts. So today I'm going to talk about these unrealistic expectations of social media motherhood, these unrealistic expectations for your home, like all these aesthetics, how you can achieve some of your Pinterest pins in real life, but all while keeping a healthy balance and keeping realistic expectations. So you can still scroll and collect ideas and inspiration from your favorite accounts. I'm not saying delete the app, but there's a way to do it and not hold your real life to these impractical standards. So we're going to talk about how to use Instagram and Pinterest as a resource, as a tool. It is not a standard to hold your life to. It's just a means of inspiration. So are you ready? Let's go.
The Imperfect Moms Club is brought to you by...
Did you know Geico's now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies? That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? Your teenager to help around the house?
Okay, Mom, I emptied the dishwasher, vacuumed the basement, and folded the sheets out of the dryer.
Wait, what?
Oh, and next, I'm going to clean Mitten's litter box.
Are we in some kind of prank show or something? That's a camera, isn't it?
There's never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th. Limitations apply. Visit geico.com for details.
Hey, my friend, I just wanted to pop in for one quick second and just ask you if you wouldn't mind sharing a screenshot of the show right now on your social media. If you would do that and post it to your Instagram stories, to your Facebook stories, or something like that and tag us, that would help our show so much. The best advertisement is by word of mouth from our listeners, just like you. If you found an episode that you truly love and that was helpful for you or that just made you laugh along with us, please share that with your family and friends. We want to grow our community, and the only way to do that is with your help.
This is the Imperfect Moms Club on PEN. Get in touch with the show through the PEN listener hotline at 833-PODS-NET. That's 833-763-7638. And now, back to the Imperfect Moms Club on the Podcast Entertainment Network.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the home decor section and home improvement section of Instagram and Pinterest. I'm not actually sure if it's supposed to be called the section. I feel like I'm in a store and I'm like looking for a certain department, but that's just all I could come up with. So it's fun to watch a gorgeous couple transform their 1980s kitchen into something you would see in the Home and Gardens magazine, right? Yeah, it's very satisfying to watch a space be completely torn down and built back up again. I personally enjoy watching these types of posts, these types of little reels and TikToks. And can we just take a minute to admire all of the women showing off their woodworking skills these days? When I was a kid, I don't remember seeing any women use power tools. And I'm sure that there were some out there, but it was mostly like a guy thing. It was a dad thing. And now we have single moms or married moms or just college students, whatever, just like flipping furniture that they pulled off the side of the road for free. They're stripping off old paint. They're replacing the hardware, cutting wooden pallets down to make home decor pieces. It's awesome. It's inspiring. I actually got my own set of tools for my birthday this past year, and I love it. I've been using our power tools to upcycle furniture, fix shelves in my basement, making little decor pieces from driftwood. If you don't know, I live in Maine, and that's one of my favorite things to do when we go to the beach is I'm basically a little boy and I pick up sticks. I bring them home, I cut them, and I make stuff out of them. It's a hobby of mine. Woodworking and power tools, they're not just for the boys anymore. Girls can do it too. And I love how many female builders are popping up on social media. So it's fun to cheer these women on, but it's also important to remember that Instagram is some of these people's jobs. It's their paycheck, and they can spend days and days rebuilding kitchen cabinets because it's their paycheck. It's their job. They're getting sponsored for their work, and often they're gifted the products that they're using. That's totally fine in my book because I'm aware that most of the posts that I see are basically commercials, right? I'm the customer, they are the product. It's their job as the content creator to show the very best of the best and take pictures of what's possible with the product. So just keep in mind that if you screenshot it and you try to make it yourself, you're not going to have the same resources. You're not going to have the same timeline. You're not going to have the same skills probably that the creator has. And it might not turn out exactly the way that hers did. And you know what? That's okay. Just use the post as a jumping board, as inspiration. Your project is probably going to take a little longer than expected. You're going to run into a few hiccups along the way. We always do. We always forget something and have to run back to the hardware store, or something breaks, or we thought we had enough wood, but then we found a piece was totally busted when we got home. Okay, it's going to take longer than you think, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Okay, don't take this episode as me completely discouraging you from ever trying anything that you see online. Just keep a healthy expectation in mind and don't beat yourself up if it's not a carbon copy of what you saw online. So I've compiled a list of some of the top trendy home aesthetics that I've seen on social media, but I'm going to bring it down to a level of reality for your basic mom with young children. So I have 3 aesthetics or posts that you might see. The first one is a neutral farmhouse decor everywhere. So this is an aesthetic that's in the bathrooms, it's in the kitchens, it's in the bedrooms, it's the entire house is this neutral or boho themed, farmhouse decor themed house. So if you have kids, you're going to have clutter, okay? You don't see the kids' clutter in these Instagram posts. So your kitchen, you might have it farmhouse themed, okay? You might have the farmhouse themed towels or soap dispenser or whatever. You know, you might have the Rae Dunn mugs hanging somewhere in your kitchen, but you're also going to have to make room on the counter for the baby bottle warmer, for a can of formula, the sippy cups, and the inevitable clutter that you're going to get in the junk drawer, you know, the keys that get thrown on the counter. It's going to happen. You might have bought a new sectional sofa for your living room this spring, and maybe it's the trendy gray color that everyone's decorating with these days, but you're going to find toys in between the seat cushions. And honestly, I give it about 2 weeks before your kids stain the armrest. I can't tell you how many times I have cleaned our couch. When we bought our sectional, I said we had to get one that had removable covers so that I could throw it in the wash. And I'm not kidding. I just washed one half of the couch. I do it in 2 sets because it's a big couch and I can't fit everything in my washer at the same time. So I ripped up half of the cushion covers, half of the cover on the sofa, washed it, dried it, put it all back on. It was such a workout. And the next day, the very next day, my daughter had Cheeto fingerprints and I don't even know what else all over that armrest. And I'm like, could you not have sat on the other side that I hadn't washed yet? Or could you have like waited a week so I could enjoy it being clean? No. No. You might see a post of beautiful refinished dining room floors. I can't tell you how pleasing it is to watch people rip up old shag carpet only to reveal gorgeous flooring underneath that they just sand down and refinish. We did this in my grandpa's house a couple summers ago. We ripped up some very, very old carpet from the 1960s, and there was gorgeous hardwood underneath. Very aesthetically pleasing. So you might see that, and you're probably going to only have that be clean for like 10 minutes if you have kids. Okay, little muddy feet, they're going to run across the floor. Someone in my house always spills milk or yogurt like 10 minutes after I have steam cleaned my hardwood floors. It's super annoying. The flooring is probably going to get scratched by the legs of the baby's high chair. So something else that you might see on Instagram are these organization accounts, or on Pinterest, all of these beautiful organization photos. Very pleasing to the eye, not very realistic. So you might see bright photos, with all this gorgeous natural lighting of mason jars lining the shelves with this like really cool, eclectic home decor. It might be in like a home office or something like that. Everything is color coordinated. The jars are beautifully labeled. They're stocked with paper clips and rubber bands and pencils. So even if you're an organized person, you have to agree that the point of... Sorry, there's a squirrel. Even if you're an organized person, you have to agree that the whole point of organizing is not to get a really cute Instagram photo at the end. Now, I am not a super organized person, and I can't tell you how many times I've been really discouraged because I will spend like a whole morning organizing a space. I like take everything out, I go through it, I make different piles, I try and put it all back, and I try to put it in baskets and boxes and things, and then I stand back and I realize it's not as cute as I thought it was going to be. It's not the Instagram photo, it's not the Pinterest post. So it's just because I'm working with what I have, and you know what, we all have to work with what we have. Most of our homes are not custom built, and we have the spaces that we have to work with. They're not always near a window where you're going to get beautiful natural lighting for a cute photo. Sometimes the only containers you can get your hands on for organizing are not cute. Sometimes it's just a cardboard shoebox and you just used a Sharpie to label the side. And you know what? That's okay. This is reality. And I guarantee you, every influencer that you follow, they have a space just like yours, okay? They have spaces that are not cute, but they're functional, okay? I guarantee you they also have a junk drawer. I'm sure that some of her furniture is a hand-me-down and it's outdated and it hasn't been painted to be aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Okay, I guarantee you that she has dents in some of her walls here and there. There's no way her entire life is aesthetically organized and pleasing and beautiful all of the time. It's okay to be inspired by the spaces that you see, but remember, it's like a magazine photo shoot, okay? These spaces are made by professionals with money they didn't have to make, okay? Resources that a typical mom wouldn't have. They've been gifted a lot of things. They've been sponsored. They have equipment that we don't have. They have skills we don't have. They have people to come in and paint and help them build. Now, okay, if it makes you happy to go and upcycle an old dresser, go for it. I mean, I am a DIYer at heart. If you follow me at all on Instagram, you see that I am always DIYing something for my home or for my classroom at school. And I love it when I see people get creative with stuff that they already have, taking something old and making it new again. It's really fulfilling to step back and look at a space or look at a piece of furniture and say, hey, I made that with my hands. So you know what? You go for it, girl. Learn a new skill, try a new floor plan with your living room, get creative and think outside of the box. Just know that your space isn't going to turn out as perfect as the one that you screenshotted on your phone. And that's totally okay. There's beauty in the imperfection of life, and those imperfections is what makes it our own. So like I said, I'm always painting something. I'm constantly changing things around my house. I'll see a cool post on Instagram and I'm like, hey, that looks cool. And then I look and see if there's a way that I can get the same feel or the same vibe with things that I already own. Okay, I can't just go out and buy brand new stuff all of the time. Sometimes, honestly, all it takes is just to rearrange your furniture, and then you get like a different flow to a room that maybe you were missing. And now that you put the couch on a different side of the wall, or you just swapped some lamps around in your house, it gives you just the look that you were going for. Sometimes I move one piece of furniture from one room to another room. I'm notorious for doing this, especially from my classroom to my house and back and forth again. I have furniture in my classroom that you would typically see in a living room, but I thought, hey, this would look cool in my classroom, so I stick it over there. Or sometimes I'll take a piece of furniture from a bedroom and put it in the living room, or vice versa. I just move things around. It's free. It doesn't cost me anything to do that. It gets all of my creative juices flowing because I start to look at things in a different way, look at furniture in a different way. How could I use this in a different space? It makes me look at things that I already own in a completely new light. And sometimes, like you can look at a photo of a shelf on Instagram, right? And it's beautiful and you want to recreate it. Well, you don't have to go out and buy all the new things that you see on the shelf. You don't have to go out and buy that same vase or that same little decor piece, that same little trinket. All right. You can look around your house and see what you already have. Sometimes you just got to shop your stock. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. Shop your stock. Go down to your basement, dust off some old decor pieces, maybe some old hand-me-downs that you got from your grandma you didn't really know what to do with. How can you repurpose that? How can you put it somewhere else in your home to get that kind of feel that you got from looking at that photo? Maybe you see a really cool build on Pinterest. Now, I'm notorious for having this board. It's a secret board, so if you find me on Pinterest, you won't see the board. And literally the name on the board is Honey, Can You Build This? And I started this board several years ago before I started doing any, woodworking and power tools and stuff like that on my own. This was back when only my husband did that kind of stuff. And I had this board full of all these DIYs that I wanted him to make. It's full of things you can make from pallets, from scrap wood, different things for around your home, different shelving units, whatever. Okay, so I have this, and now I tend to use it for myself. I'll screenshot something or I'll save something that I think I could build, and I put it in there. So you screenshot something, you see it cool, you see something cool, you save it, and you keep thinking about it. Okay, if you keep thinking about it for 2 weeks, you're probably going to really like it. And it's not just something, something shiny, something sparkly that caught your eye for a few seconds while you were scrolling. All right. You don't want to just start demoing a room because you saw something cool on the Instagram and then a week later be like, oh, I actually really don't like it. It was actually just a trend that I saw that I thought was cool, but I actually don't like it long term. All right. So if you see something on Instagram, on Pinterest that you really love, go ahead and save it. If you're thinking about it for more than, 2 weeks, you can't get it off your mind. You're probably going to love it. Just go for it. So see if there's a blog post or something with more information on the build, read the whole caption, click the links. It's really helpful if there's a longer video, if it's on YouTube or something. Go ahead and look at that. You need to do a little bit of research. Did they have like, do they have to have certain skills to make this thing, to do this room? Were they gifted some expensive equipment that maybe you don't have? How long did it take them from start to finish? And again, remember, for most of these people, like, it's their paycheck, it's their job. So they have 12 hours a day to spend on it, because they're not also trying to do their own job. They're not also trying to cook dinner and help with homework and whatever. So use all these questions to evaluate if it's something that's really possible for you to make the same thing, or maybe you need to adjust your expectations a little. Just because you can't answer yes to every single one of these questions doesn't mean that, oh, forget it, it's never going to happen. Just adjust your expectations a little bit. It's not going to be as perfect as theirs, and it's probably going to take you a little longer than you originally thought it was going to take, all right? But you know what? You put a little bit of elbow grease into it, adjust your expectations to fit your reality. You can step back and you can be super proud of yourself with your project. And you know what? I would love to see it. So if you do anything like that, home DIY, you build something, you upcycle something, please tag me on Instagram. I love seeing stuff like that. I am at Miss Yellow Shoes, and that's my blog, not my blog. That's my Instagram handle. I love seeing stuff like that. Anyway, we've talked about unrealistic home expectations from social media, Pinterest, Instagram, all that. And after the break, we're going to start talking about unrealistic motherhood on social media. I know we've already had an episode on this before, but I'm taking a little bit of a different perspective on it. It's not just about how perfect all these moms are and everything's wonderful all of the time. Their children are perfectly behaved and all of their lunches are homegrown, organic, blah, blah, blah. This is a little bit of a different perspective that I'm taking on it, and I've got a lot to say. So I'll catch you after the break.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Imagine a world where potty training is fun, fast, and easy. Only pull-ups have Disney graphics that fade when wet to teach big kids to stay dry. So they're motivated to keep the music going.
I'm a big kid now.
Did you know Geico's now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies? That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? Your dentist to actually believe you?
And you're flossing every day.
Absolutely.
Great. And you're cutting down on your sweets?
Of course.
Wonderful. Then I don't even need to look in there.
Great. See you in 6 months.
There's never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th. Limitations apply. Visit geico.com for details.
Enjoying this show? Be sure to check out all the shows across the Podcast Entertainment Network, where there's a show for every interest. Visit www.podcastentertainment.com to browse through the full collection of shows. And now, back to the Imperfect Moms Club on the Podcast Entertainment Network.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the Instagram moms, the Pinterest moms, the TikTok moms, and the brown aesthetic. Okay, I have an opinion about the brown aesthetic or the neutral aesthetic that these influencers are famous for. All right, the minimalist aesthetic. And I get it, okay? It's really pretty. I love boho style. I love a beautiful neutral rainbow, painted on the wall, beautiful mural. I love a good macrame piece. I have several in my home. I love the look of vintage children's books, vintage illustrations, handmade, handcrafted toys from Etsy. I get it. I swoon over the rustic birthday cakes with, the naked frosting, the naked cakes, the little faux succulents on the top. It's really pretty. It's an aesthetic. It's beautiful. It's pleasing to the eye. But I'm in my 30s, okay? I am a grown woman. Can we please stop pushing this aesthetic, this brown rustic aesthetic on our kids? Can we stop that? Can we make it normal to like kid things, for kids to like kid things, for kids to, like cartoons and crazy cereal and wear mismatched socks? So I think I have such an opinion on this because I've been working with kids for over 10 years. I've done everything from daycare, newborns. I've worked all the way up from toddlers to preschoolers to kindergartners and, a little bit of first grade, just a tiny bit. I've subbed a few times. I've been working with kids for 10 years professionally. I'm also a mom, and I also remember what it was like to be a kid. Okay. So unless it's in a chocolate chip cookie, kids are not drawn to the color brown. Okay. When you go to McDonald's and you get a Happy Meal, they do not hand your kid a cream colored box with, a macrame toy. They don't do that. They give them a bright red box with yellow handles, and you open it up and there's all these crazy colors, and the toy has, all of these colors on it and all these moving parts. Well, not anymore. Happy Meal toys have, they used to be really cool, and they've are kind of lame these days. But anyway, it's full of color. Kids like color. That's why their Crayola boxes are full of color. They have all the colors of the rainbow available to them. It's not just a bunch of shades of brown. All right. That's why kids, their candy, it's not cream colored. It's not white. They're bright colors. They're eye-catching colors. The packaging, it's meant to draw your attention. It's not this rustic brown, butcher paper with black calligraphy. It's patterned. It's got stripes. It's got neon packaging. Kids are kids for only a short period of time. Can we please just let them be kids and let them like what they like? They have their whole lives to be grown-ups and to like grown-up things. The same thing was said, and it can still be said with how we're dressing our children these days, mostly girls, to look a lot older than they actually are. I think we've all seen that trend on Instagram or these memes where they show a picture of what 13-year-olds look like today versus what I looked like when I was 13. And the 13-year-olds today look like they're in their 20s, right? They look like these little business women. They have smartphones. They have designer sunglasses. They're wearing heels. Whereas when I was 13, I looked like a nerd from a Disney Channel show. I looked like a total nerd. Can we just let kids be their age? Can we just dress them age appropriately? Can we let them have likes and dislikes that are very normal for their age group? You're only young once. Can we let them have the cheesy Paw Patrol birthday cake? Can we just let them wear their favorite characters on a t-shirt that they got from Walmart for $5? Can we just let them have the Barbie comforter spread in their room? Can we just let them be kids and stop pushing our personal aesthetic onto them? So I found this article from wired.com, and I just want to read you a quote from it because they put everything that I was thinking into words. Okay, so here we go. The floor is the color of sand. The walls are the color of sand. The cushions are the color of a slightly different type of sand. And this is the baby's bedroom in the Instagram age. Sit down, settle into the cream couch, admire the tan bedding, and feast your eyes on the beige illustrations in their beige frames. Aesthetic moms, the memes say, ignore their kids' request for a Paw Patrol cake. Instead, they opt for an uniced bake featuring twigs, leaves, sackcloth banner. They prefer wooden toys to plastic ones. They decorate their play spaces with neutral shades of the Kim Kardashian underwear line. Some meme makers joke that the children of an aesthetic mom have no idea what colors are other than gray, white, and brown. Perhaps this leads to a genuine concern. What will happen to a generation of gray babies raised in a world devoid of color? Or is this just a baseless pearl clutching? Or is this baseless pearl clutching just another way of the internet to throw hate at moms? That's the end of the quote. So kids are naturally drawn to color, all right? It helps hold their interest. And I can tell you, as an educator and child care professional, child development professional, color helps kids learn. Children will spend more time on a learning activity or with a book if color is involved, okay? The same way that we find books more interesting and more informative if there are illustrations on the page, children use color to help them learn new information and take pleasure in their environment. So, like, why are we drawn to, like, the bright red apples on an apple tree? It's because of the color. It draws our eye and it says, hey, look at me. I'm delicious. I'm ready to eat. Why do we like looking at the sunset at the beach? You know, why do we use that as our screensaver on our computer or on our phone? It's because the sky turns into a living painting of reds and purples and oranges. Color stimulates the brain, and depriving kids of color just to get more likes on Instagram, it honestly could be damaging their brain development. It could be hindering their brain development. Now, does that mean they can never have a handmade toy from Etsy? Can they never play with plain wooden blocks? Can they never wear a tan sweatshirt? No, of course. You know, there is a balance, okay? I love vintage toys. I like vintage books. I do like using burlap in some home decor, but you have to have a balance, okay? It can't just all be one color aesthetic, okay? On one hand, you don't want your kids' toys and your kids' things to overrun your home. You don't want to be tripping over, you know, the Barbie dollhouse or the Hot Wheels set, you know, when you're trying to just, you know, go and make a cup of coffee in the morning. You know, I think it's important to include the elements of childhood in our homes. I don't think it's okay to have one room where the kids go and play on their own and the parents are in another room and there's no interaction. I think we need to find a way to have a balance to where, yes, the kids have their room and it's what they like. You know, it's the SpongeBob room. This is the SpongeBob aesthetic. It's the Nickelodeon aesthetic. But also, they have some toys and some things in the living room that maybe they don't match your rustic aesthetic, your neutral aesthetic in your living room, but the kids are a part of that room too. It tells them, hey, you belong in here. You are welcome here. And then the same thing goes for you. Bring in a really nice, comfortable, overstuffed chair into their room so that you can go and enjoy sitting with them in their space. You know, you belong there too. It's all about balance. You know, can we just stop looking at this brown boho aesthetic on Instagram and thinking, oh, that's what my life needs to be. Every element, every piece of silverware needs to be rustic. Every sock, every shoe, every bow I put in my kids' hair. If you like vintage like I do, go ahead and get some vintage stuff. You know, if you like handmade, go ahead and get some of that. That's fine. If it makes you happy, go for it. But just don't be shoving this aesthetic down your kids' throat. Let them be kids. You know, go buy your family neutral matching outfits for your next family photo session. Go ahead and buy your gray couch. You know, paint your bathroom white if that makes you happy. But let your kids be kids, okay? And incorporate stuff that they like into your everyday life too. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Today's episode was a little bit shorter than most of our other ones, but I hope you liked it. I know I enjoyed writing the script for this. I enjoyed doing some of the research on this. This was a great reminder for me, as well as I hope it was for you, that Instagram and Pinterest are not real life, but we can still use them as tools and resources for our own lives. Well, Lisa and I will catch you next time. Bye!
Want to get in touch with the show? Email us at imperfect@podcastentertainment.com. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Imperfect Moms Club.